What's up, duelists? Today's video is something a little bit different from your regularly scheduled programming. I'm going to be talking about tomorrow's historic event, the sales and acquisition of the rarest Yu-Gi-Oh card ever printed, Tyler the Great Warrior. Now, before we get into that, I need y'all to do something for me. You see this guy right here? This is my boy. This is my son. And my son has a big appetite, all right? He has a big appetite. He needs to eat. As you can see, he's losing a little bit of his weight. He's losing a little bit of his 0-0 stats. The only way I can feed him is if y'all subscribe, okay? I need that sweet YouTube ad revenue. Please fucking subscribe right now. All right? Help me feed my son. Help me feed my boy. Look at him. He's dying. He's dying. He needs you. He needs you guys. What first sparked my interest in Tyler the Great Warrior was obviously Alex Simo's video. If you haven't already seen it, it is an amazing video showcasing the humanity behind what it was like being a kid growing up with a rare form of terminal cancer, not only beating that, surviving to your adult years, and then wanting to move on and find higher meaning in your life. Definitely worth checking out. Incredible video about Tyler and his story, and why he's now choosing to come out and sell this card. The second thing that also piqued my interest in this video, of course, was MBT's tweet on the subject, in which a lot of people on the internet showcased how dumb they are, and that triggered me. That triggered me extensively, and I had to make this video. I had to make this video because a lot of people thought that this card would sell for less than $1 million, which honestly, that's why we're making this video. I'm going to tell you today why I think Tyler the Great Warrior is worth more than $1 million, and also why I personally will be bidding on this card. Now, will I be winning this card? No, I will not be, because I do not have more than $1 million to spend on a Yu-Gi-Oh card. But for parties who are interested, this video may be of some use to you. Now, while I don't claim to be a financial expert, ChatGPT definitely is, so I asked it what are some ways you could profit off of owning the rarest one-of-one Yu-Gi-Oh card. Now, these are just some entry-level ideas. I have come up with some other ideas, which I'm going to tell you immediately after this, why I think this card is such a nuclear bomb to own. Of course, you could auction it off, which is exactly what's happening here. It's attracting collectors, enthusiasts, all sorts of people. Selling it online, basically the same thing. eBay is auctioning it off. You could trade it. That's a meme. Trading this card is a fucking joke unless you're trading it for, like, I don't even know, some other priceless object like the fucking Mona Lisa. You could display it if you're not interested in selling the card. Now, this is the one that sticks out the most to me. Maybe not display it in terms of, like, in your house, but you could prop it up in a museum, which is something that has happened to trading cards in the past, most notably in Magic the Gathering. There are some cards and an entire exhibit propped up in the Seattle Mopop. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Seattle is the home of Wizards of the Coast, the parent company of Magic the Gathering. I'm sure there's some handshaking going on there. But if a card is fucking memeable as Arlen fucking Cord can be propped up in the Mopop, then sure as hell Tyler the Great Warrior can be as well. And the reason this is such an not amazing thing, but I completely lost it. I lost it. I was going there. I was cooking there for a second. Hold up. What is it? The reason this is such a valuable thing. The reason this is such a valuable thing is because you can write off museum donations, basically. You can donate something to a museum, and then you can write that off from your taxes over the next few years. And if you're a multi-million-dollar corporation, let's say Konami, for example, you could prop this bad boy up in a museum and then say you're donating it to a museum, you're donating a piece of artwork to a museum, then write it off your taxes and easily make back what you spend on this and more over the next coming years. You can also donate it to a private foundation. However, your deduction will be limited to the initial cost of the card. As long as, you're getting people to evaluate the thing at higher than what you spent it for, you can earn more essentially by saving on your taxes as a multi-billion-dollar corporation, etc., etc., etc. Now, as a point of reference for how much I think this card could potentially be worth to someone who is willing to go through the effort of propping it up in a museum for a tax write-off, these are a few examples of paintings that were bought for just that purpose alone. This is a Magritte painting that sold last year for $80 million to be propped up in a museum as a tax write-off. This is a Klimt painting, which was purchased to be propped up in a museum. This is a picture of literally some fucking trees, and it was sold for $105 million to be propped up in a museum as a tax write-off. And then, of course, the famous Marilyn Monroe Warhol painting sold last year for $195 million. Well, That's obviously a stretch considering that a TCG player sold for $295 million, which is less than 50% more than this is. That did not make sense mathematically. Less than 50% more than I don't think Tyler the Great Warrior is going to sell for $100 million, but I do think that there is genuine value to be gained, especially for corporations that are already paying millions in taxes, to pick up this card and prop it up in a museum. If I had to put a rough estimate on the number, I'd say that Tyler the Great Warrior is probably worth between $5 to $15 million to the right buyer, honestly. If you have that much you're paying in taxes or that much you want to write off, then it's free money for you, essentially, as long as you have the upfront costs. Now, the second idea that I had in mind that ChatGPT didn't come up with was the value of this card to creators, influencers, and tournament organizers. Of course, you see people like Jake Paul paying millions of dollars on Pokemon cards just to make one stupid little YouTube video and write it off on their taxes as well. On top of that, you could also see people who throw tournaments, companies that throw tournaments, host YCSs, that kind of thing. Maybe want to throw the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh tournament of all time with this card as the prize. Potentially, we could see this card being like a World Cup trophy of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or something completely different. Now, myself being a dirty little clout demon, a little goblin, if you will, I personally would probably end up doing something similar to that, throwing a huge tournament and then just giving it out as the prize, broadcasting the whole thing, and then just going down in history as the guy who threw the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh tournament of all time. And of course, definitely last but not least, if you're just the obsessive collector type and you have 7, 8 figures to blow on this type of thing, there's never going to be a more philanthropic opportunity to purchase Tyler the Great Warrior than right now. All of your proceeds are going to be going towards Tyler and his family. Everything is going to go towards the kid himself who got to design the card, got to work with the legendary Kazuki Takahashi, rest in peace. And you get to pay for this kid's life that there was a good chance he wouldn't have had. So all things considered, it's a historic moment for sure. And to take part in that historic moment is something that is worth more than any specific card in the past alone has had. It's a weird thing because not only is it a one-of-one card similar to like maybe the One Ring from Magic the Gathering, but there's this inherently human element to it that really makes it, in my opinion, worth even more because you're going to support this kid who against all odds is still with us. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, of course, I will be bidding on this card myself. And if you guys want to tune in for the historic auction, you can join me here live on stream. Of course, bidding on the card, seeing what other people are doing. YouTube.com/E3Yugioh. Of course, subscribe, turn on the bells. You know the whole deal. Like the video, leave a comment, tell me what you would do with the card below in the description. You already know what it is. Cheers, everybody. See you tomorrow for the auction. Peace.